Hello, everybody. How are you? Good afternoon. My name is Magdalena Tiburcio, and I will be working with you this afternoon. So hopefully you're fine. And today's session will focus particularly on the forum in your Richmond Learning platform. So we will talk about what are the similarities between the forum and a blog and how you can make the most out of it in your classes. So before we get started, while we wait for other people to connect, I have a quick poll here just to have a little fun. And during the morning session, I was asking what people were wearing, if they were still wearing their pajamas or if they were already fully dressed. So today, the poll will be a little bit different, and you should be able to see the poll now. The poll is very, very simple. I think that you should see it now. Hold on. There you are. So you should be able to see the poll now. And the poll is, what kind of shoes are you wearing right now? So we have several options. Check them out. Choose the one that applies to you. Don't worry if the answer is flip-flops or slippers or no shoes at all. Let me know. I think that most of you have voted. 80% of the people attending the webinar have voted. So let's close the polling right now. And let me share the results with you. The results are this. So as you can see, most people are not wearing any shoes. I'm glad you're comfortable. That sounds good. Some other people are wearing tennis shoes, and other people are wearing good old regular shoes. So cool. Let me hide the poll then. So welcome to the session. As I mentioned, I am Magda. I will be working with you this afternoon. And after this session, you will receive an email with your certificate of attendance, but you will also receive a survey that we would really appreciate if you could reply to know your opinion on this session. Today, we will be talking, as I mentioned, about blogs and forums and working online. So my second question today is related to blogging. So let me know, do you have a blog? Tell us. We have here, the options are yes or no. So let us know if you have let us know if you have a blog. It's just yes or no. Okay, everybody has voted. Great. I'm going to close it and I will share the results with you. Here they are. So as you can see, most of you don't have a blog, which is interesting. Is there any other organizer connected right now? Because I can hear some noise. Hi, is there anyone else online? Hello, people from the Richmond staff. Okay. That's weird. Someone else is an organizer here. I don't know how that's possible. Just give me a second, please. Great. Okay. So, well, let's continue then. So most people in here do not have a blog. This is important to know because the way in which we're going to be talking about the forum today is very similar to what happens with a blog. So it's quite important for me to know if you're familiarized with how this works or how you can work with a blog with your students. And the last question that I'm going to ask before we get fully started is how often do you use the forum? So you should be able to see the poll any minute now. So this is the poll now. Okay. So the question is, how often do you use the forum? Twice a week, once a week, a couple of times per course, or you haven't used it yet? Now, don't worry if you haven't used it yet. The idea here is that I can provide with many more ideas if you are already using it. Okay. And so let me know. Let me check how's the poll going. Everyone has voted. Cool. Awesome. Everyone's participating in this schedule. That's great. So here are your replies. So most of you, as you can see, use it a couple of times per course. Maybe you're using it as a bulletin board. Also, we have that some of you have used it once a week, and some of you haven't used it yet. So that's good news, because this means that we will have lots of things to share with you and lots of things to learn today about the forum. Let's get started. I'm going to hide my webcam so we can focus on the presentation right now. So let's get started with defining what a blog is. A blog is, I took this definition from Wikipedia. Sorry, from WordPress. As some of you know, WordPress is one of the providers of blogs, so it's one of the most important ones. Also, the one that I prefer the most is Blogger. Blogger belongs to Google. I think Blogger is way easier to use than WordPress, but both are really cool. So if you don't have a blog and you're interested, you can approach WordPress or Blogger. And if you have a Gmail account, actually, it's very easy to set it up. A blog, according to WordPress, is a space where you can share online, where you can describe information, or you can do something which is chronicle. This is something very important, because the important thing about working with a blog is to work there regularly, to post as much as possible. So you keep communication going. Also, something very important about this is that there are different kinds of blogs that you can use. By the end of the session, I will give you my references regarding what I used to prepare this session, so you can read a little bit more about it if you're interested about the topic. The people from the British Council have a very nice article about blogs in ELT, and they define 3 different kinds of blogs. The first one is a tutor blog, and in a tutor blog, basically what you do is that you set everything as a teacher, right? So the teacher is the one that set up the blog, the one that chooses what are the contents that you're going to talk about. Usually these blogs are limited to syllabus, to the things that you check in your course. Also, you can do assignments or homework in your blog as well. But basically the one that defines everything going on there is the teacher. Also, there are some kinds of blogs that are written by teachers, but they are more of a reflective blog. So, for example, it's very common people who are living overseas, maybe living and teaching English in Japan, and they create a blog and they tell you about their experience, about what it is like to be in a different culture, teaching English there. Or some teachers that work with multicultural students and share their sessions, which is quite important and interesting for us, right? So this is a tutor blog, one person blogging and the other people maybe commenting, but not really participating actively. Then you have the other kind of blog, which is the ideal blog for teachers, and that's called the class blog. In the class blog, the big difference is that everybody collaborates. So it's not just the teacher writing and posting, but also students posting and being able to choose topics. This is a great space for people to discuss, to do extra activities, and to have extensions from the classroom. This is the kind of practice that I will share with you today. We will talk about forums as a class blog, similar. Of course, the great thing about using the forum in the Richmond Learning Platform is that everything is easier to use. It's more controlled, and only your students are part of it, so it's kind of safer. It's a safer environment. And well, I will give you mainly, of course, I will tell you how this works, but my main objective here is to show you some ideas that we have tried and we think you would really enjoy with your students. Finally, there's another kind of blog, which is the learner blog, and this is the most ambitious of all of them. This learner blog basically requires that each person has a blog, and usually the teacher helps set it up and moderate it. But the one in charge of posting there is the student. And in many cases, what we do with these kinds of blogs is that students are going to sorry, I got a little bit distracted by a cat passing by, remembering that we were from home and sometimes that gets us distracted, right? So I was telling you that mainly the idea here is that students write about their reflection, that they write about what it's like, their experience learning, things they find interesting, etc. So what you should do as a teacher is to encourage that people visit each other's blogs and that they comment and they contribute to the others, right? So that would be a learner blog. Now, what's the difference with a forum? I took this definition from Wikipedia, and in Wikipedia, they define forums as message boards. And I really like that idea of message boards because that's the way in which we usually use it. Maybe we have to tell something to our students or we would like to share some information with them and we use the forum. But the thing is that seeing the forum as a message board makes it way too simple. And I think that in forums, you can actually do much more. So it's not just conversations that you can have in a forum, but you actually can do much more. You can do many more activities. Now I am going to continue with two important concepts for you to know about forums, and that is topics and threads, right? So a topic is basically what you are talking about. It's the main idea that it's being discussed. So for example, you can see this little arrow. I am pointing at the topic in this section. And then when people comment, it becomes a thread. If you are a Twitter enthusiast, if you like Twitter, you probably are familiar with these ideas of threads, which is basically you start an idea and then you follow the conversation and some people can comment. So in here you can see 3 different topics and the topics have different threads, right? So in here, for example, the idea is that the teacher or someone in the class posted an idea and then someone replied and then someone replied to that person who replied. So you have this thread of messages that you have to follow. These ideas of topics and threads are important to understand when you're working with forums. And without any further ado, let's learn how to use the forum in the Richmond Learning Platform. I am going to get into the website. Here I am. I am logged in as a teacher, and this is what it looks like, right? So in here, you will see your classes. I'm going to log into the class. And you will see all the things that we can use in the Richmond Learning Platform. So you have class materials, you have assignments, you have the test manager section where you can where you can assign tests for your students. You have the mark book to check their progress, and then the forum. Something very important about the forum is that you as a teacher can manage the tags. You probably noticed that in here I have many conversations and the conversations have different colors. This happened because I created tags that are going to make it easier for me to find information. I strongly suggest that when you're posting, you create tags so it's easy to organize information for you. So for example, I have created a tag for help. So anytime a student posts asking for help, they will post anywhere, but you will look at something like this. Like this is a bright green yellow post. So I know that whenever there's a color like that, it means that someone has posted to ask for help, for example, right? So tags are quite useful here. Also, as you can see, these are the topics, the questions that we are including here. Right now, I'm going to focus on the technical part about the forum, and then what we're going to do is to work on the threads. You will see everything in the forum, right? So, well, something important here is that you can choose which topics you're going to discuss about, but students can also do it as well. I will log in as a student in a few minutes, so you can also see the experience from the student's viewpoint, and so you can have all of the information. So let's get to learn how to post something, right? So let's think that we are working with Unit 5, and maybe that's the tag that I want to create. And I can choose a color for everything I do with this unit. So everything we post related to this unit would look in this color and will be easy to identify. I created my tag, and now let's create the topic. So let's imagine that the Unit 5's topic is family, right? So, yeah, let's think it's families. So I'm going to, sorry. Here, my favorite family. So in here, I will set the topic. This is what my students will see on top. And then I can do several things in here. I can choose different fonts. I can add bullets. I can even quote. I can add pictures, links to other places in the internet where you want your students to get information, charts, emoticons, videos, everything. So in here, I will write the instructions for my students. So I will say, hi guys, think about your favorite family from movies or literature. Post a picture and tell us why you like it, for example, right? Now, I could do this activity before. Let me go to Google, famous families. So I can, for example, let's choose these guys. Okay. And then I'm going to come back here and include a link. Right, so what I can do here is before my students get into the classroom, I can actually create a topic to discuss beforehand. So when we get into the class, we continue talking about the same topic and we don't waste time looking for this information, thinking about it, looking for a picture online, sharing the picture with everybody. So you can do that in the forum, and then when you get into your class, students are ready to talk about it. I am going to choose the tag in here, which was Unit 5, and I'm going to create. So now this is available for my students, and as you can see, students can see the color that I chose. I can enter here. They will see this information. Hi guys, think about your favorite family from movies or literature, post a picture and tell us why you like it. So we can click here and get to the website where I can get some idea about 10 famous families, sorry, right? So they can have idea. And well, in here, my students can post and they can share their ideas. The great thing is that everybody can see what they are posting and continue the conversation. So later on, we will explore a little bit more in detail how this works. Right now, I just wanted you to see how it works, where it is. And let's get to the most important part of this session, which is answering to the question of what for. What can you use the forum for? Before I continue, I would like to know if you have any questions. I can see there are many people connected. Hello, everybody. I'm going to turn on the camera for a little bit. So, hi, if you arrived after I introduced myself, I'm Magda. I can see some familiar names. Hello, nice to see you online. So let me know if you have any questions. There is a chat box. The chat box sends messages to me so I can read them. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to ask them through the chat box. And here I have one. So I'm going to say hi. Hi, Lorena. How are you? And as I mentioned, I will explain more in detail how the forum works with examples that I have created beforehand, so you can have good ideas about how to use this. All right. So let me turn off the webcam so I can focus on the screen. So what I'm going to do is to give you some ideas before, and then we will explore them in the forum. The very first thing that you can use the forum for, and this is very common in online learning, is getting to know each other. So in most programs, they create a section in the forum where people can get to know each other. So they post something about themselves or pictures, or they answer questions, and they interact. This is something you can do, but it's not just something you can do at the beginning of the course. Sometimes we don't have as much time as we would like to extend on some topics, and this is when the forum comes in handy. Also, you will find some examples that are combined. When I get into the forum and show you how this looks, you will see some combinations of this. The other way in which you can use the forum is as a creativity booster. What do I mean by this? Having critical thinking activities in the classroom, it's really cool, but being very honest, sometimes we don't have enough time to carry out the activities as they should be. So in this case, we can use the forum to have creativity boosters, activities where students have to think about it, and they can extend as long as they want. So when you go into class, you can talk about it, but don't waste the time. Well, it's not wasted time, but you know what I mean. You don't spend time working on that thinking because it has been done before, and now we're ready to talk about it, which is what we really want to do. The other thing that I love doing in forums is share and talk. So sometimes I can remember sometimes teaching classes about childhood, for example. People will be talking about their childhood and sharing pictures and anecdotes, etc., etc. And usually we ask our students to bring a picture into the classroom, but there are several problems here. Some people won't bring the picture, some people will bring the picture, but not everybody can see it because they have to pass it around. You can't see as much detail as you would like to. So for example, what you can do in a forum is you ask your students to share the pictures in the forum. They spend time watching them, making comments, etc. So when you get into class, you continue the discussion, right? So for example, something lots of people get surprised about me when they see pictures from my childhood is that I was blonde. So for example, people can say, hey, I didn't know you were blonde when you were a little girl, and then you can start talking about it in class rather than focusing on passing around the picture. So share and talk is a great thing that you can do in forums. Something else you can do are follow-ups. Whenever I show you the activity that I base this follow-up on, I will come back to this slide. But as you can see, this is an activity from a book. It comes from Personal Best. And in here, as you can see, students were talking about someone important in their lives. And when they met this person, they are narrating this experience. So I created a follow-up activity. That's another one. Sometimes there's not enough time for everyone to share their experience. Or for everybody to hear everyone's story. The great thing about the forum is to actually give you that chance that everyone can get to know everybody's story. I will come back then to this section a little bit later. Also, we can design complete tasks. I have a couple of activities in the forum that you will see are entire tasks themselves. You decide if you want to take into account these tasks for the final grade, but I mean, more rather than just giving them a grade because of this, is what they can accomplish through the forum. The forum has so many tools that you can use, and students can thrive there, right? So you have tasks, and finally, you can also make it a window for students asking for help. So that's what we're going to focus on. Here I have the examples. This is the great part of today's session. This is what I want to focus most of our time. And I'm going to explore every single one of these activities so you can see what the idea was behind them and what students are supposed to do. I also have a very kind group of workmates who helped me create this forum, so you can see what it looks like when people reply. All right, let's get to the very first one we mentioned, which was basically getting to know each other. So in here, the teacher has chosen an activity for the beginning of the course, and it says, "Dear students, welcome to your new course. Use this space to introduce yourself by saying your name, your nickname or nicknames, where you are from, and your favorite activities. Finally, add a picture of yourself. Look at an example." I strongly suggest that you give students an example, because if students haven't changed in a couple of years, I'm sure that what they will do is that they will copy this information, they will paste it in the reply, and they will say your name, Magda, your nickname, Magdita, where are you from, Mexico, etc., etc. So if you are expecting for them to accomplish a little bit more, give them an example so they can see what you are expecting from them. And in here, I wrote an example myself, right? So this is my name, I'm from this, I love doing this, and this is my picture. And then some of the students replied already, right? Now, something interesting about working with forums is that you can create single threads. You can be replying to what people are posting, and I strongly suggest that as a teacher, you reply to what your students write so they can see that someone is reading. Hopefully the entire class is reading, but if no one else is reading, at least the teacher replies. So for example, in here, I have one reply that says, "Hello, my name is Alicia and I have lots of nicknames. The most common is Alice. I am from Mexico City. Something that I love is dancing and playing with my kids." And here's a picture of Alicia. And then the teacher replied, "That's a great picture, Alice, and thanks." Right? So here we have a thread. Here I have another person replying. And as you can see, people can extend as much as they want, or they can be brief. And the idea of doing these kinds of activities is for students to interact with each other, but also to use English outside the classroom. And that's something that we always want to, right? Now, for example, this activity, as you can see, it's very basic. It would probably be for basic levels of English, but you can do this as challenging as you wish. So here I have another example of getting to know each other. This one is called No Numbers. I would like to say that all of these posts are not only my ideas. Many other teachers suggested some of the activities, and that's what you should always do. Try to, as much as possible, share with other peers what you are doing in the forum, things that work, things that you think don't work that much, and share this information, right? So it's not you're not copying the information, you're really sharing, inspiring, getting inspiration from others. So in here, this is the task. No numbers. Without using any numbers, not even in the written form, tell us how old you are. You can use words, videos, and pictures, right? So people in here, probably they already know themselves, but they are talking about their ages, and they are not saying how old they are, but they are giving us examples, right? So let's see this one. It says, "The year I was born, the first Garfield comic strip debuts in US newspapers, and Grease and Star Wars Episode 4 were popular films." right? Or this one, when I was born, Miguel de la Madrid was the president, and then they tell us which cartoons they used to watch. I owned some records and then tapes and then CDs. Neon colors were popular back then, etc., right? And then other students can reply. If students want to reply, they have to click here. So you reply to this one, right? And then you can guess, right? For example, I can add that reply as the teacher, right? Let's guess. And then I invite students to interact with others. So here I have another one, and it says, I am as old as a Full House first season episode. And then someone catch them out and says, well, I guess first is a number, isn't it? Right. So this is how this works. Someone else chose to use a picture. I was born the year Stephen King published Carrie, and they included this. So this is another way in which students can get to know each other, but being creative. Talking about creativity boosters, here I have a creativity booster idea. This activity was suggested by one of the consultants, and in here the activity is called Name a Movie, and the instructions are this kind of meme, right? And it's some popular positive opinion challenge. So you have to name a movie that meets all these requirements. The first one, you genuinely like, came out in your adult life post 2000s, and is rated below a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So this is an activity that if you tried to do in class would take quite a long time, because students would have to think about a movie, then check if the movie was premiered after the 2000, after the year 2000, and then they will also have to go into Rotten Tomatoes and check that the rating is below 50%. So this would take a long time, right? But if I post it here, my students can take as long as they want. And then they can, of course, comment to each other, but also you can use these topics to talk in class, to actually have discussion topics. And I don't know if this happens to you, but I used to work at the Anglo, and sometimes you don't have enough time in class to extend as much as you want. So I think that using the forum is a great way in which you can do that, in which you can continue talking about a topic that students found interesting, so they can continue practicing the language, but at the same time that you can meet the syllabus and you can finish the program for that particular course. So I also remember that in many of these classes in the Anglo, people have been together for quite a while. Sometimes you receive a class in the intermediate levels, and they have been together since they were basic. So sometimes they already know each other, and they don't want to talk about like really simple things. But I don't think that even a class that knows each other a lot will get bored with this kind of activity. This is an activity that everyone will find interesting, and it's difficult to learn these things about people, right? Sometimes you get married and you don't know these things about the other person. So here, for example, is a post of someone saying Rob Zombie's Halloween. You can check out the review here. So this person even included a link. It only has a 26% in the tomato meter. How come? For people not familiar with the tomato meter, here's Rotten Tomatoes, and the tomato meter is this, right? So basically, this would be a very good show or movie, and is something that it's below that, it would be very bad, right? So for example, let's think about a bad movie. Sorry if this is your favorite movie. But the Cable Guy, I'm sure it has a low rating. Right, it's got a 53. It's not that bad, right? The Cable Guy. I thought it was going to be lower. Oh, I know which one will be. Everybody hates this movie. I love it. I honestly love this movie, and people keep saying it's the worst Batman movie ever. I know, but I love it, and I love the characters. And look, you see, my movie sucks. So I could post about this movie here. right? So as you can see, you can really get to do activities that are fun, that are really, really fun, and that make students want to participate, to type in English, to speak in class, to share more about themselves. And basically what we want is that people have fun by using the language, right? So for example, here I have a person that posted this one, which is the movie was She Sold That, I think. And then someone replied, I hated that movie, but loved Freddie Prinze Jr., right? So this is the idea that students can share this information and that later on you can use this in class. So this is still in the category getting to know each other, but also in creativity boosters, right? Also, here I have another activity. This one is called My Favorite Viral Video. This activity is inspired in a unit related to laughter. So that's the main topic in that unit. And students are going to start the unit on the following week. So the teacher would like to present some vocabulary that is going to be useful, but also get them talking about laughter in general. So the teacher decided to create My Favorite Viral Video. And in here, we are introducing this expression, crack up. So is there a popular viral video that cracks you up? Share it with the class, and don't forget to tell us why you like it. And as usual, you should include an example. And here it says, this is the distracted puppy video. If you haven't seen it, it's just this silly puppy that can't concentrate on anything. So the person that wrote this posted, this video cracks me up because it reminds me how I feel at work sometimes, right? So here we have more. If you haven't seen this one about the blueberries, just go to YouTube and search You Forgot Blueberries. It's hilarious. And the idea is that students use this, it cracks me up, etc. So whenever they start working in the unit, they will already have a context that is quite clear. You can reference the videos that everyone shared. You will for sure laugh, and people will start using the language in a more natural way. That's my favorite viral video. Then here I have another one. If you remember, I mentioned that this was a follow-up. So in class, let me remind you of this part. In class, students were talking about when they met someone very important in their lives. And the idea was using narratives. So this activity was something that people were talking about, and they were they were into it, but you didn't have enough time for everyone to share their story. So what the teacher chose was to include this in the forum. So it says, remember this activity in class, let's write about it. If possible, include a picture of you together, right? So in here, people write their story again, and then they include a picture, and it makes it more interesting, and I think it's more enjoyable. And don't forget that it's important you as a teacher reply. You can reply if you think the picture is lovely, or if you love the story, or you can ask a question. The idea is that you keep the conversation going in the forum. Um, this is an idea of how you can use it as a follow-up activity. Now, also here I have another activity, which is quote them right. This one was a little bit more complicated. I am going to log out as a teacher, and I am going to log in as a student, so you can see what this looks like. What I did for this activity, just give me a second. Come on, Richmond Learning Platform, cooperate. Here we go. Here we are. So this is the student experience. This is what it looks like. And turns out that my teacher gave me an assignment that it's called Quote Them Right. So when I open the assignment, it says, dear students, this is a forum task. Follow the instructions. You will find some pictures of important characters in here in the contents. Choose one of them. Download the picture. then browse the following information about your chosen character. And the information is their name, where and when they were born. This is a mistake from me, sorry. And a famous phrase they said. Then post the picture and the information in the form, right? And then they have to choose what they want to talk about. So if as a student I go into the forum, I can see the activity that has the same name, quote them right. And then it says, check your assignments and follow the instructions. Write about your famous character here. Don't forget to use the quotation tool. So here I have one person talking about Prince, and here's the quote. The person talking about Mahatma Gandhi. Another person talking about Cher Horowitz from Clueless. If you watched that movie, you are familiar with the character. And then we have this one, right? So the idea again is that you can assign activities for your students to do. This is a very simple activity in terms of language because as you can see, they only have to look up the name, where they were born and when, and a quote. So it's not such a complicated activity to do. Now remember that I am a student here. As you can see, I have the same tools. I can choose a topic and post it. What I cannot do is to choose the tags. That's the only thing that that teachers have exclusively in their functions, right? So well, we were talking about this one. Then we have complete tasks in here. For example, I have a complete pronunciation practice task. So this task is watch the following video and identify 3 possible sounds for regular verbs in simple past. Download the PDF file with the list of regular verbs and identify the different sounds. And this teacher included a hyperlink, and this goes to a Google Drive where I can download the list. Then nominate one of your classmates and give him or her 3 verbs from the list in this forum. This person will have to provide the correct pronunciation for these verbs, and then they nominate another 3 people, and so it goes, right? So this is a complete task that the teacher has assigned via the forum. I am going to log out and log in again as a teacher. You probably noticed that this post was a little bit more ambitious than the previous ones. There are many things that you can do in here in the blog, sorry, in the forum, which is working as a blog right now. And if you want, for example, to include a video, right? So I can tell them, watch this video and define what CLIL stands for. And here's the video. I just have to click here, and I have the video ready here. I'm going to copy this here. And when I click here, it automatically inserts the video, right? So this is actually kind of cool. You can also include pictures, hyperlinks, and the idea, once again, is that you create this post as sophisticated as you want. In this one, I didn't include a tag, and as you can see, it kind of gets lost. This is why my suggestion is that you include a tag, right? So let me come back to these examples, right? Here's another one that I have. This was pronunciation practice. This is a reading and writing task. So in here, the name is museums and art galleries, which is what they are discussing in class. And then the teacher asks to read an article. Here's the link. The link comes from The Guardian. And it says, read this article and then comment which museum looks the most interesting, why, visit the option you found the most interesting, and write a brief review from between 100 and 150 words, right? So in here we have the task that someone has already replied. As you can see, this is a full task. It's not just a short activity. It will take longer for students to work on that, right? Here's another one, which I found hilarious. I didn't do this one. It was created by a student, as you can see. And it poses the question, will this health crisis turn into a zombie apocalypse? So the task is, what is your opinion about it? Please read the World War Z document I have shared in my library. And after watching the trailer, tell us what you think. So this has two components. You have to watch the trailer, but also it says that you have to look for a document in the library. How do you do that? Well, in class materials, there is a little tab that says class library right here. If you click here, as a teacher, you can upload resources in this section, right? Just by clicking on this button, you can choose a file from your computer and upload it with your for your students, sorry, and then it's going to be visible here, right? So here it is. And something interesting, this was actually uploaded by a student. So if a student would like to share some content or a picture or something with their peers so they can do a task, that's absolutely possible, right? So here's the World War Z thing that was suggested for us to read. This is the entire book, actually. So we're not reading it, right? But this is just an example. And I'm coming back to the forum, and they also mentioned that you should watch the trailer, right? So if you click here, this takes you to a hyperlink in YouTube where you can, well, actually, this is like cositas, and I had already prepared, and here it is, right? So, and then students can reply. So as you can see, you can create full tasks in the forum. It's very practical. It's easy to use. I think you will find many more ways in which you can use it. And the very last thing that I would like to share with you is the help section. As I mentioned, teachers can create topics, but so do students. Students can also share topics. In this case, students can post to ask for help. So for example, in here, the student said, "Hi everyone, I need some help. I don't understand this. Can you help?" And they included this. And I am not surprised. This is something that many students have issues with. And then the teacher replied, "Hi, watch this video and let me know if you still have questions," okay? And here's an explanation about how this works. And then students can continue posting, right? And the idea in here, again, is that if your students are working from home, if they are doing activities at home, and they have some questions about how this works, they can actually ask for help in the forum. And as you can see, there are so many more things you can do in the forum, not just posting something you would like them to know about the course, or the typical aviso urgente, and you post it in there. I think it's important for us to make sure that we are using these tools to their maximum capacity. So I took some of the information from here. I checked some articles from the internet that I think you will find quite interesting and useful. So the one that I like the most is this one from the British Council, and it's called Blogging in ELT, Blogging for ELT. You also can check this other blog, which is called Why Should Teachers Blog? And the other one that I really liked was understanding the difference between forums, blogs, and social networks. So if you're interested in learning more about this, we will have a course on blogging in the future, in the near future. We will let people at the Anglo know so they can send you the information. It will be a completely free course. If you are interested in blogging and getting deeper into this topic, we will be very happy to provide some information and to guide. Once again, my name is Magdalena Tiburcio, and here's my contact information. I am the Academic Services Coordinator for Richmond in Mexico. Also, I would like to share the channels where we post the recordings. If you would like to watch this webinar again, or if you would like to, maybe you forgot some of the information and you would like to revisit, you can go to gotostage.com, and we have two channels. We have the Richmond webinars channels, where you can find product training activities, and we also have the Richmond teacher training website, where you can find webinars like this one, where it's not so much the product, but how to use it and make the most out of it. So if you would like to try these activities and share them with me, or share how it goes, send me an email. It's mtburcio@richmonddlt.com. I hope you have found this information useful and interesting. And hopefully, when everything goes back to normal, we will still continue using the internet and sharing outside the classroom. So I think I have a couple of questions here. Right, so most people think that tips are interesting. I wish you apply them, let them know how it goes. I am Magda Tiburcio. Have a lovely afternoon. Stay safe, and see you online. Bye-bye.